If you guys want to rank up fast and hit Unreal in the new Remix Chapter 2 Fortnite season, then you need to be using the tips in this video. I've used these tips every single season since Ranked's been released, and I get Unreal before the majority of players. This video took a while to make, so please leave a like and subscribe as it's the best free way to support the channel. With all that done, let's dive straight into the tips. Firstly, let's talk game mode, because everyone's first question is always what game mode ranks you up the fastest. Unfortunately, there's no set answer, and it's just what you perform the best in. If you consistently get more kills and wins in duos, then that would be your best bet. Due to this, I'd only play team game modes if your friends or teammates are going to play with you. I'd never recommend doing fills because it's hard to do well consistently. Not only that, but you'll need less kills and placement in solos to rank up. For example, 1 kill in solos is the equivalent to 2 in duos and 4 in squads. That leads nicely onto the next part of the video, which is point format. As we all know, there's no official point format, and that's because there's no set points and it actually depends on a lot of factors. It makes sense for them to keep it this way because it could get confusing, especially to the younger player base. But like anything that gets a lot of interest, people have run their own experiments and have concluded the following. You're rewarded more for eliminations when you eliminate someone of a higher rank and when it's later in the game, i.e. endgame. And vice versa, you lose more points when you're eliminated by a person of a lower rank and if you die early in the game, i.e. off spawn. In earlier seasons, damage dealt was compared to damage taken, but due to some players, damage taken got taken out of the game because they were camping. It's rumored that damage dealt is still in ranked, so don't get upset when your friend steals your kill. But what hasn't been confirmed is whether it's your team kills or your individual kills that count towards your rank. From my own experiences, I would say it's individual kills because I've had squad 40 bombs before and barely ranked up. But the major thing that has been tested and no one's aware of is that zone survived and time alive is more important than the actual placement you get. Which I guess makes sense because if you joined a lobby with only around 80 people and it died out really fast, you're not actually doing much to be rewarded. As I just mentioned, one of the worst ways to lose points and never rank up is to die off spawn. That means your drop spot in early game is probably the most important part of the game. When it comes to where to land, I always use the saying, the lower your fighting skills, the lower amount of chests you should be landing on. If you're really unconfident in your fighting and you seem to die every time you're contested, then there's no harm in landing somewhere with around 3 chests where you're never going to be contested. Even if you're a good fighter, I recommend landing somewhere a bit safer, looting up first and then pushing people, because if there's any point in the game where you're going to die, it's going to be early game because it's more RNG based. To always win off spawn, you need to master these 3 things. The first is always outdropping your opponents. You could do this by having a drop map and knowing when to jump out the bus, which is 60 degrees from the bus and marker. Once gliding, it's important you keep momentum by only holding forward and then not looking around you. Number 2 is having an optimized loot path. This ensures you get more loot and materials faster than your opponent. The best way to do this is to plan out your route on Fortnite.gg. You want to make sure that you're covering the most chest and material dense areas, meaning you get more but in a quicker time. And make sure you only move in one direction and don't double back on yourself because this will waste time. Number 3 is getting the advantage over your opponent. As we've already discussed, this could be getting more mats and loot, but can also be a HP advantage, say you land on slurp barrels, or it could be getting the natural high ground at your drop spot, for example getting on top of a building, or the classic, which is opening the fight with some initial damage. The advantages you can gain over your opponent will vary game to game, but the way to master this is to land that drop spot every single game till you know it off the back of your hand. The next important step is understanding what playstyle you're best at and playing to your strengths. There are 2 main playstyles within Fortnite, passive and aggressive. Passive players aren't too confident at fighting and instead opt to play for endgame. In the tournaments they play, they'll get much more placement points than they do elimination points. To play to your strengths in this playstyle, you want to be making endgame consistently, so to do this, make sure you learn how to always position and rotate to dead side. This way you'll get into less fights, but you'll also have more mats going into endgame. You should also know how to disengage or get your opponent to if you do get into any fights. On the other hand, the aggressive players are the ones starting these fights as they're really good at W keying. They finish tournaments with more elimination points, but the risk is they don't make as many end games because of the risk of each fight they take. This is your playstyle. To make sure you get placement to go along with your eliminations, and you need to master taking minimal damage from fights. This will make sure that each fight is more of a refresh than doing the opposite and scuffing your games, but also it reduces any third party risk because if you're low you can get cleaned up easily. Learning how to finish fights quickly also reduces third third parties. Ranked is just like tournaments, you can play for kills or placement, both work. What's more important is playing to your strengths and playstyle, because you'll be consistently doing better in your games, which means you'll rank up faster. If you're serious about wanting to rank up, it's important that you warm up just like you would for tournaments. Unlike other creators, I'm not going to sit here and plug my own maps or maps I'm getting commission from. Just find maps that you enjoy but are actually challenging so you actually get warmed up. A lot of pros use the same structured warm-up. They start with aim and then they go into free building before 1v1s and then they go into ranked. Just make sure you're 1v1ing better players than yourself so it's challenging and you're preparing yourself for actual games where you're likely to encounter better players than yourself. On the flip side, it's only a warm-up, so make sure it's not too strenuous. If your warm-ups are too long and challenging, you're just going to burn yourself out for the actual games. For ranked, I recommend around a 20 to 30 minute warm-up, including everything I've mentioned. Ranked can be very frustrating at times, making mentality a key aspect to ensuring you rank up quickly. If you're playing team game modes, you need to be hyping your teammates up to increase their confidence rather than being toxic and blaming them for every mistake. This is going to decrease their confidence and make them play even worse, so you're only damaging yourself. It's fine to analyze your errors after each game so you don't make the same mistakes in the next game. Just make sure you're being accountable rather than blaming. If you are struggling for confidence, there's a thing called false confidence where you tell yourself you're the best even though you're not, and it actually improves your performance, and this has been backed up by several studies. So go into every ranked game thinking you're beatable and the best in the lobby, and you might play better. Just make sure you're not too overconfident and make mistakes. Really important that you keep your rage within the previous game and you start every game fresh. If something unlucky happens like a game crash, you're going to let it affect that one game or every game you play that day. If it's the latter, your rank is going to suffer. If your games are going bad and you're starting to get tilted, an easy fix is just to walk away from your desk and have a break. However, if you do want to carry on playing and power through, it's important that you sort out your mentality and prevent any rage. Methods that have been known to help is taking deep breaths, chewing gum, being in call with friends, listening to music, and repeating the same phrase and action every time you die. For example, saying GG, immediately leaving the game and then dropping down and doing some push-ups. Now let's get into the truth about ranked. For those who have clicked this video, you're obviously interested in learning how to rank up fast. And I want you to answer one simple question. What do you care more about, your Fortnite rank or actually improving as a player? If it's the latter and your main aim is to improve and start doing better in tournaments, then caring about your Fortnite rank is only going to be holding you back. This is because you're going to be playing for your rank rather than for practice, which ranked is actually great for. Number one mistake I see the majority of players make in ranked is hiding all game to farm placement to level up, but at what cost? Yes, you're going to be a better rank, but you're never actually going to improve as a player and people are going to see straight through your rank. Ranked is probably the best form of fighting practice, and I would always recommend when playing it, just pushing everyone you see. This is going to make a huge difference to your fighting skills, which is one of the main things you need in ranked. And then once you become a good fighter, you won't even need to watch videos like this in future seasons because you'll just be dropping back-to-back high kill games. If you ever watch pros, you see how easy ranked is to them. They just aren't even try-harding and they run through everyone. If you found this video helpful, please do like and subscribe, as it's the best free way to support the channel and I do genuinely appreciate it. Also make sure to turn on notifications because I've got way more content coming for this season and you don't want to miss any tips. Comment remix if you stayed this far in the video so I can thank my loyal viewers, and thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next video.